Hey everybody, Johnny92 here, and welcome back to the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. When we last left off, we were given 2 crime scene photos to cross our eyes at and try to view stereoscopically. Now, I can do that, it hurts my eyes to do it, but the problem is once I do that, the picture isn't clear. I have a blurry image, even though it is 3-dimensional. And she's asking me if I saw the difference. I really didn't, but I'm going to say yes, that I saw it. The only thing I noticed was a shift in the books. What's going on with these 2 pictures? Yeah, the books. Some things on the counter sort of jump out at you. Oh god, everybody's looking at them. Yes, yes, yes! That's it, you see! That's the other amazing power of stereoscopes. Other amazing power? Someone going to explain this black magic, eh? Why the deuce do some of the things on the counter seem to jump out at you like that? I think you'll find that if you consider the basic principle of the stereoscope, you'll answer your own question. Basic principles of the stereoscope. As I said before, if you try to look at 2 identical pictures using a stereoscope, it won't work at all. It's the slight shift in the position of certain objects that lets you see pictures 3-dimensionally. In other words, even though at first glance it seems the objects on the counter haven't moved at all in between the 2 pictures, this shows that actually there must have been a slight shift in their positions. But I could see that without a stereoscope. We know that the books have shifted to the right. Yes, there must have been. How does that help us though? Now hold fire there, sir. Got a reasonable grasp of this whole cross-eyed business now, I'd say. But why the devil does this shift between the 2 prints exist in the first place? Well, what's the answer, fellow? Come on, you're the cross-eyed master. What, me? I haven't the first idea. You know, Runo, it's quite simple. It is? Just think it through step by step. The first photograph was taken at 1 a.m. Then 30 minutes later, the second photograph was taken. But the position of some items on the counter appears to have shifted slightly in the interim. So that means that sometime in the half-hour interval, someone must have tampered with the things on the counter. Not zonkers, zookers. Someone tampered? New information, stop. Not mentioned in testimony so far, stop. Yes. We've had to go around in circles a little here, it seems. But I'm starting to see what I should be aiming at in this summation examination now. Do you now? Ladies and gentlemen, the question now is clear. We know the items on the countertop were moved, but by whom? Are you suggesting you might know? Of course. I can tell you right now who is responsible for the almost imperceptible shift in the items on the counter. Ugh, can we? I mean, I want to say these 2. Nash and Ringo. It wouldn't be Strongheart. If it was, we wouldn't have known. Wouldn't be Gregson, he wasn't there. Could be Egbert. I believe he was there and we just haven't seen him yet, but we have no knowledge of that. Could be Gina. Could be Pop. We know of 4 people that were there. He got shot. So yeah, it's either Pop, Gina, or the criminals. So I'm gonna say it's Nash. Let's present him.
Take that!
It was the witnesses currently in the stand, the Skulkin brothers. Okay, so he does say them both. So even if we're wrong, we've only lost 1 hit point on 2 people. So that's actually good return on investment. Wait. This does not agree with what brothers said in testimony before. They said they don't even have time to pull dukes from Lucy Lockets. My phrasebook says dukes is meaning hands, and Lucy Lockets is meaning pockets. But is this another lie? Is this what you are saying? Yes, I'm afraid so. Now hold on there a minute. You can't be sure of that. I quite agree. The accused is a common pick purse after all. It's perfectly possible that she went through the things on the desk to see what she might steal. I think that's unlikely. And why exactly? As you can see from this photographic print, the defendant was pointing a gun at the victim. It would seem, as my learned friend indicated, that she was coercing Mr. Windybank to open the storeroom door. In other words, Miss Lestrade's interest lay within the storeroom, not in the main shop, giving her no reason to touch anything on the counter. All of which points to one thing. The Skulkin brothers have omitted key facts in their testimony. If the accused is a pick purse, come on, common gutter trash. Why look any further for the wrongdoer here? Because the Skulkin brothers are thieves, madam. No better, in fact worse, than a pick purse. I believe that these brothers were looking for something on the victim's counter that night. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, if you would condemn the defendant on the grounds that she's a pickpocket, would it not at least be right and proper to thoroughly scrutinize the testimony given against her by two thieves? Well said. I, for one, would like to hear more from that shady pair. He doesn't use his hands. Can you all see now? I think you'll find stereoscopes aren't playthings. You've seen their extraordinary potential firsthand. Even now. We need one more, right? Wholeheartedly agree, stop. Must purchase after trial, stop. Will return home via Regent Street, stop. Okay. That should be it then. We've done it. Well, it would seem this trial is yet to run its course. The ladies and gentlemen of the jury have declared their inclinations via the mighty scales of justice. I hereby call this summation examination to conclusion with the balance altered in the defendant's favor. 2 lean to guilty, 4 lean to not guilty. Accordingly, the jury is without consensus, and I order this trial to continue. Yay, well done. Oh, by the way. What? You should hold on to this, Runo. You never know when it might come in useful. Twice in one trial would be unusual, surely, but alright. Stereoscope has been entered into the court record. Fold-up device that allows anybody to enjoy seeing things in 3 dimensions simply by looking through the eyepieces. Lord Van Dykes, you will instruct the witnesses that the court demands additional testimony from them. Let's look at the stereoscope real quick. Have we lost evidence, or now we have all of the evidence we could possibly have. Fold-up device allows anybody, we've already read that. Examine it. Can we find anything cool? Let's look at this. Does that open? You have to pop your 2 prints into here to start with, you see. And then, when you look through the eyepieces, you can see the image in 3 dimensions. The important thing to get right is the position of the 2 prints. I don't know who came up with the idea of stereoscope, but it's really quite fascinating. So she's just talking about how to use it. Let's talk about the eyepiece. You have to pop your 2 prints in here. No, she already said that. Anything on the bottom? Doesn't look like... Yeah, we can unlatch it. Oh, look at that. It's totally changed shape just from one little button press. Well, that's what the button's for, Runo. You're just like Hurley. You boys love pressing buttons, don't you? Especially if you don't know what they do. Us boys? Says the 10-year-old girl. Anyway, now you can see that it really is a stereoscope, can't you? Yes, but can we do anything with it? I'm trying to turn it over the right way. Can we actually use it now? Or if we click on this, she'll say the same thing, right? Yeah, alright. Alright, let's go back from this. Let's continue on with the court. I'm sure it won't spoil the bouquet to do so, my lord. Okay, more witness testimony. Let me grab a sip of water. I've won myself another chance to probe that pair about their activities that night, at least. And I won't stop probing them. You won't stop what now? Until I've proven that Gina is innocent. Okay. Alien abduction time. Bring out the probes. To be continued. All right, we've made it to at least part 2 of the court case. How many more parts can there be? I don't know. It's been long so far. We'll see. We still got to connect everything to the McGilded case as well. Unspeakable story. Order, please. Let us resume proceedings. Witnesses, you will now retake the stand. Poor Gregson. I presume you heard the defense counsel's summation examination. Oh, yeah, Governor. I did, Gov. I did. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin. Core, blimey. This is going to be hard work. Earlier in this trial, you gave the following testimony about your actions after you entered Windibanks. Well, it was bedlam soon as, weren't it? It was, Nash, it was. Didn't even have time to pull me dukes out of me Lucy lockets. However, that was a lie. You brothers... Cora, blimey. On the night in question, you rifled through the items on the victim's counter. You never done nothing of the sort. How'd you figure that out? How'd you figure that out? You will now give formal testimony once again. You will tell the court precisely what happened on the night in question, and this time, you will tell the truth. Each lie that passes your lips serves to increase the severity of your punishment. Okay there. And that, gentlemen, may deal a crushing blow to your chances of ever seeing the light of day again. A thought worth pondering, perhaps. Say no more, Gov. We hear you. We'll blab. We'll squeak. We'll peach. We'll peach. I'm hearing some slang I've never heard before. Illegal entry, the whole truth. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. It was when we heard the gunshot, see, made us both jump, and all that stuff went flying. Lummy, it didn't half give me a fright. We was thinking the shooter'd come out the door and get us next. We stuck everything back where we found it and scarpered straight into him in the black. Straight into him in the black? We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we? So you admit to the defense's accusation. You did indeed ransack Mr. Windibank's countertop on the night in question. Not ransack, Governor, no. That's right, Nash, that's right. It's more like we tidied up, yeah. Sorry. By their own admission, these brothers entered the pawnbrokery under dubious circumstances. However, they panicked and fled on hearing the gunshot, having first made good their mess. The way you say it, we hardly sound like roughs at all. We don't, Nash, we don't. Can't he make us sound a bit more cutthroat? It can't just be coincidence these men showed up at Windibanks that night. There's more to their testimony than meets the eye. I'm sure of it. Well, yeah, I am too. Look at them. All right, let's start pressing. Illegal entry, the whole truth. All right. Nid knocking a few things over. We weren't rifling for nothing. Let's press that. If that's the case, then why didn't you testify to that effect in the first place? Well, you know, we ain't exactly squeaky clean, are we? We ain't, Nash, we ain't. If we admitted to something like that, people would think we was up to no good. Well said, Ringo, me old China. Me old China? We'd only land ourselves in even more trouble. And in fact, now, as a result of lying in your previous testimony, that's exactly what you've done. Landed yourselves in even more trouble. Ah, well, that's rotten luck. Says the rotten apple eater. Witnesses. Explain your actions to the court. Why did you ransack the victim's counter? We never ransacked nothing. Right, Nash, right. More like we tidied up the place. Sorry. Van Zykes ain't having it. It was when we heard the gunshot, see? Made us both jump and all that stuff went flying. Alright, let's press this. So what you're saying is, the sound of the gunshot shocked you so much you knocked all the things off the counter. Well, it shocked one of us that much, yeah. This bag of nerves needs to learn to keep his shirt on. Look, it was loud, alright? Blimey. Me dead granny would have woken up at that bang. Big bruv here screamed like a bloomin' baby and fell over the counter. How? He's super short. How would he have fell over the counter? He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot. That got tangled in some marionette what knocked over a picture frame what knocked them skulls on the floor. He really mastered working quietly then. What a racket. Me granny would have been scared back into her grave at a clatter like that. So in short, the gunshot took you by surprise. And then some. I mean, it was quiet as a mouse, and then all of a sudden, bam. Ooh. Uh-oh, he's chomping.
Excuse me.
Inspector Gregson, do you have something to add? Like I keep saying, I don't appreciate being lumped in with these scoundrels. No, something to add about their testimony. You seemed to react just now at what Mr. Skulkin said. Did it make you think of something? It's probably nothing, of course. I wouldn't even bother to mention it, only... Well, the fact is, cases don't get solved if you ignore the little details. How about you just tell us what's on your mind? As you know, we brought these fellas into the yard for questioning last night. And the statement they gave then told a slightly different story to what they're saying now. Did it? You claim you heard the victim shout something out before the gunshot. Might have, Gov, might have. Does ring a bell now that you mention it. Granted, it's only a minor detail, but still. I can't help feeling like perhaps you've been a bit sloppy with your testimony here, eh, fellas? If I discover the witness's testimony has been any more sloppy than it has hitherto proven to be, I shall be forced to bring the very harshest punishment to bear against them. Easy, easy. We'll get it right this time. That's it, yep. It's all coming back to me now. Then speak. Supplement your testimony with whatever details have miraculously returned to your questionable mind, sir. Heh, right you are, Gov. Just before the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun." Okay. Let's press this.
Hold it!
So in fact, you heard the voice and the gunshot almost simultaneously? We did, Gov, we did. Although I suppose if you're being honest, we heard a kind of wavering voice before the yell and all. If you don't want to get shot, give me that gun. Bam. kind of thing. I like the reenactment. A career in acting, tragically missed. And where were the voices coming from? Could you tell? Of course we could. From the other side of that door behind the counter it was. From the storeroom where the victim was found dead. And the voice you heard, was it that of the victim, Mr. Windybank? On me granny's life, of course it was. On is granny's life, of course it was. So, Mr. Windybanks is saying, if you don't want to get shot, give me that gun? Is there a third gun that's unaccounted for? So that would mean that you both knew Mr. Windybank and the sound of his voice. So that would mean what? What, Nash? What? Any ideas? Yes, Counsel. Indeed it would. No. We did know the geezer. How am I supposed to deny it when the bloke and all the fancy clobbers giving us the evil eye? If you value your lives, you will ensure your testimony is accurate and true. If you value your lives. On me granny's life, it is. On his granny's life, it must be. It's a good job his granny's dead. To summarize then, immediately after hearing the voice of the victim, you then hear the gunshot, causing you to stumble and upset the items on the counter, scattering them over the shop floor. You make it sound like we were clumsy. Don't forget we tied it up after like good little boys. Anyway, the way I see it, the bloke what owned the place was holding a gun, so he had just fired instead of... Wait, this is new. The bloke what owned the place was holding a gun, so he should have just fired instead of yelling at the girl. So if he was holding a gun and he was talking to the girl, how would he have gotten shot in the back? Let's press this.
Hold it!
You're saying that Mr. Windybank had a gun in his hands? Oh yeah, bet that was a sight, huh? Them two waving them guns at each other must have gotten pretty heated. I mean, just before he shouted, we heard the geezer say, if you don't want to get shot. Didn't really sound like he meant it, mind. More of an empty threat, you could say. Mr. Windybank was known to keep a revolver in his shop counter at all times. People say that to protect the articles in his keeping, he'd readily put a bullet in someone's head if required. That someone being himself, of course. Good grief, extraordinary devotion indeed, if alarmingly misguided. Well, he certainly sounded like he was ready to pull the trigger the other night. Only the person he was going to shoot beat him to it. Cooked his goose proper. Bet he wished he'd squeezed the trigger instead of wasting time shouting, "Give me that gun." And it was directly after those words you heard the gunshot. It was more or less at the same time, Gov. Give me that gun. Bam. Kind of thing. Yes, a career in acting. Very tragically missed. Then we heard the sound of someone hitting the deck. Before everything went dead quiet. After that, we done a slapdash job tidying up the place. Lummy, it didn't half give me a fright. We was thinking the shooter'd come out the door and get us next. Let's press this.
Hold it!
So you didn't try to open the storeroom door then? Not on your life. It went deathly quiet after that, it did. Put the wind right up me. But anyway, the door was locked, weren't it? No way that was opening. Yeah, of course. It was locked from the inside. Or so we've been led to believe. It was, Gov, it was, from the inside. Right, so we had no way of knowing what was going on in there, did we? Unless there was some other way to get a view of the inside of the storeroom. There was. There's a flap you can lift up. Like through the keyhole or a spy hole, perhaps? Don't ring no bells, don't light no lights. We had to cut and run before we noticed anything like that. We're still cutting our teeth in this game, see? But one day, we really cut the mustard. We'll really cut the mustard. Please, cut it out. But as we know, behind that door was the victim's lifeless body with the accused not 2 feet away. Yes, unfortunately. Gina was in there unconscious with the gun in her hand. To confirm, would it be correct to say that neither of you set foot inside the storeroom? That's right, Gov, that's right. Couldn't have, even if we wanted to. We stuck everything back where we found it and scarpered straight into him in the black. I guess that's a turn of phrase. Him in the black. Press this.
Hold it!
Yes, whereupon you fired a shot from your own gun at Mr. Herlock Sholmes. Oh, yeah, we was a bit hasty there. We was, Nash, we was. Truth be told, I was already shaking like a leaf when you lot turned up. If you're shaking like a leaf, don't put a loaded gun in your hands. Good advice, miss. Good advice. Truth be told, me mind went totally blank. Before your mind goes totally blank, make sure you don't have a loaded gun in your hand. But mental note made, miss. After that, we legged it down the street, but apparently we looked dodgy to the coppers or summit, so they clapped the darbies on us like winking. Oh my goodness, at this slang. And after you'd been handcuffed, the police found this revolver in your possession, correct? Well, yeah. But listen, that proves it, doesn't it? Eh? We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we? Are you sure you didn't have a chance? And why should we believe that? Eh? What? Well, because it's true, isn't it? The place was totally empty when we went in. At that time, the victim was already in the storeroom, having been forced to open the door by the accused who had a gun to his head. In other words, on the night in question, these two witnesses never even laid eyes on the proprietor of the pawnbrokery, Mr. Windibank. Correct? You got it, mister. Down to a T. So the Skulkin brothers never actually encountered Mr. Windibank? Is that really true, I wonder? That's it? That's the full extent of their testimony? What is it, Runo? You look very fierce. I could pour you some herbal tea if you're tired. Oh, thank you, but I'm fine. Being such a logical thinker, you'll probably laugh. But I feel as though these brothers are still hiding something. Something important. It's nothing more than a feeling, though. I've no proof to support it. Well, feelings can be very logical at times. Sorry? People's expressions, the movement of their eyes, the words they choose. You can take all that in and your brain will quietly analyze it to come up with a feeling like you described. You've concluded that there's something suspicious about this testimony without knowing why. That's all. I think you should trust your instincts. Iris, thank you. Sometimes I think if she's 10 years old, I must be 5. Alright, we did knock a few things over, but we weren't rifling for nothing. Just before the gunshot, we heard a voice yelling out, "Give me that gun." The bloke would own the place was holding a gun, so he should have just fired instead of yelling at the girl. Lummy, it didn't half give me a fright. We was thinking the shooter'd come out the door and get us next. We stuck everything back where we found it and scarpered straight into him in the black. We couldn't have shot the pawnbroker, see? We never even had a chance, did we? What do we have to present here? Pawnbroker's ticket, blood samples, manuscript, The gilded case notes, today's paper, autopsy. Crime scene photo. Floor plan. If he was shot low, I could see the short one doing it. Now my initial reaction was he shot him through the opening in the door, but that would be too high up. So, what do we do at this point? He said they've never even seen Mr. Windybank. At least not that day. Alright, we're going to think on this more, and we'll present something next episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, please consider a like, a comment, and or a subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.